Hi, Ken Holmes from CertiKit here. I just wanted to give you some thoughts about Control A.5.1 from Annex A of the ISO 27001 2022 standard, which is all about information security policies. You're probably going to have two types of policy here. So you're going to have the information security policy, which is going to include some of the things that are mentioned within the management system parts of the standard in terms of commitments, etc. The other area is going to be topic-specific policies, and you may have quite a few of these, as there are a lot of areas that information security is now relevant to. So the key thing is to make sure that your approach to policies is consistent. So in terms of recognizing who the audience is for any particular policy, making sure that the level that it goes to is appropriate. You're going to have some policies that are appropriate for users to read, and so they need to be written in language that they're going to be able to relate to and understand. And you're going to have some policies that are more technical, more in nature. They're more relevant to techies effectively within your organization. So things like server hardening and network security controls, that kind of thing. So you do need to think about the structure of your policies in terms of how they're actually signed off as well. So you may have several different levels of sign-off of policies within your organization. In terms of the policies themselves, I mean, basically they're a set of rules. So you need to make sure that the language that's used within your policies is appropriate. So it's not a case of you should do this, it's a case of you must or you will follow these rules. And each policy will be backed by appropriate disciplinary procedures in the event that someone doesn't follow the policy or contravenes something that's in the policy. So your first step really, once you've created your main information security policy, is to make a list of those topic areas that you're going to create individual policies for. How long should a policy be? Well, there is a trend nowadays to make policies relatively short, and certainly it's one of those things where you don't want them to be too long because they lose some of their power if they are too long. But they at the same topic, they also need to cover the subject that is covered within the policy itself. So you need to strike a middle balance with that, and as I said before, it needs to be appropriate to the audience. So once you've created your policies, you need to also make sure that they are published, that people know that they exist, people have read them. You may want to have, certainly within induction of new staff, you may want to have some indication of the fact that they've read the appropriate policies and they've digested them, and so they may need to sign them off. You may use some electronic tools perhaps to distribute these policies and indicate the fact they've read them. You may also want to have quizzes perhaps to verify the fact that people have read these policies and they understand them. So communication is very important, as is sign off of the policies as well. So you have to make sure the sign off levels for these policies are appropriate and are understood. For your higher level policies, that's probably going to be at board level. For lower level policies on particular topics, it may be at a lower departmental head level. So you need to document that and make sure that that's fully understood and that the policies are signed off with their current versions. You also need to keep previous versions of policies, because if there is some sort of contravention and you end up in court where you're saying they didn't follow the policy, you need to have the exact copy of the policy that should have been followed at that time, even if it's been superseded by something later. So policies is a very important part of the ISMS and of the controls. So it's worth putting a bit of effort into making sure that you've got the right policies in place, they're signed, communicated, and published, and so on. So yeah, an important part.